Welcome to this week's Eternal Monday, where we look at the finals round of the November 2023 Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch in real-life Eternal Format Tournament. You'll notice that one of the decks here is Mew from Triumphant, or Lost Link Box as it's commonly known. Unfortunately, this deck is no longer legal in the Eternal Format because Mew itself was hit, as were two other cards in this deck's deck list. However, these games are still quite interesting to watch, and we'll get to see how this deck worked prior to its bans. If you're new here, you might be wondering what the heck even is the Eternal Format. In short, it is the unlimited format with a ban list. So this means the format features cards from the original base set all the way through to the most recent tournament legal set. Although it's an unofficial format, it's an incredibly fun format with a lot of rich deck building and gameplay experience to be had. If you're interested in learning more about the Eternal Format, you can do so at justinbasil.com/eternal. Up first, we have Lost Link Box. In particular, this is the Cyrus Prism Star Checkmate version of the deck. This deck is quite oppressive, and once it sets itself up, you cannot counterplay it, and you cannot win. The way the deck works is for the first several turns of the game, it just puts cards in the Lost Zone. That's all it really cares to do. Then, on the turn in which it wants to win, it will use Lost Vacuum to blow away anything that would prevent it from winning. So something like, I don't know, a Cessation Crystal, and then do what it wants. Typically, the way the deck will work is with Jirachi in the active spot, it will use Cyrus Prism Star to force the opponent down to just 3 Pokemon in play. Cyrus Prism Star reads, you can play this card only if your active Pokemon is a water or metal Pokemon. Your opponent chooses 2 benched Pokemon and shuffles the others and all cards attached to them into their deck. This means that your opponent will often be left with fairly weak Pokemon in play because you can also use Counter Cadger to gust up something that will force one of their weaker Pokemon into the active spot. It will be easiest to knock out. When they're down to just 2 Pokemon on their bench with a weak Pokemon in the active spot, you can then hit them with Dialga GX's attack, Timeless GX, to take your first knockout in a series of knockouts. Now, you're copying these attacks with Mew, with its Lost Link Poke Body, which lets it copy the attack of any Pokemon in the Lost Zone. Now, your first is of course going to be Timeless GX. Then you'll switch to Origin Form Dialga V-Star's V-Star power, Star Chronos. And finally, to take out whatever last threat there is, be it a large Pokemon or whatever, you'll use Staraptor and its Strong Breeze attack, which reads, your opponent shuffles their active Pokemon and all attached cards into their deck. At this point, your opponent will have no Pokemon remaining and you will have won the game. But keep in mind, you'll have also taken 3 turns in a row, completely eliminating any chance they have to do anything in response. The deck is quite powerful and made even easier to do what it needs to do by Dimension Valley, which reduces the attack cost of the attacks that your Mew is using by 1 colorless energy. Anyway, that's the general idea of Cyrus Checkmate, and you'll see here in this image I've kind of highlighted the cards that are no longer legal in the Eternal Format. That's the Dialga V-Star, the Dialga GX, and the Mew from Triumphant. With that out of the way, let's look at the next deck. Lost Link Box's opponent is Ultra Necrozma, which we've seen quite a bit on this channel, so I'm just going to breeze over it briefly. Basically, you have Ultra Necrozma that has an attack called Luster of Downfall that does 170 damage and discards an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. That's all well and dandy, except it has an ability that makes it so it can't attack unless your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. That's okay, because you want to set up Garbodor, which has Garbotoxin. It says when it has a tool attached to it, all Pokemon in play and in a discard pile and in hands, they have no abilities. So suddenly, Ultra Necrozma, that hostile ability, it's gone. You can attack. The deck really wants to set up 2 Garbodor as fast as possible because you really want to have that flexibility to be attacking as quickly as possible. You're going to be using things like Cessation Crystal to help shut off your opponent's Poke Powers and Poke Bodies to make it a little bit harder for them to do what they want. And then, because you want your stuff back as often as possible, you're going to be using cards like Teammates to retrieve cards from your deck, whether that be Double Dragon Energy, another Necrozma, whatever you need, and attack into your opponent, taking prize cards, and ultimately, hopefully, winning the game. Anyway, that's Ultra Necrozma. Let's jump into game 1. All right, let's jump right into this game. I will apologize in advance for the camera in this series. For whatever reason, the camera was being bumped repeatedly, and at one point during the final match, or the final game of the series, actually was bumped so hard that it slid downward. So apologies again in advance for that. Not a horrible start from both of our players. We get 2 Trubbish and Ultra Necrozma in the active. Colress's Experiment turn 1 for Lost Link Box is very good. That's definitely what they want to see. Throwing a Mr. Mime and that Dialga GX into the Lost Zone, rather. Pulling a Sableye from the prize cards, also pretty good. Sableye can help set up some math on larger Pokemon. Not necessary in this particular matchup, which is fine. Do see Rising Rivals Jirachi come down. Mew has free retreat. So just swap that out. Getting an energy on Mew all the same. Using Jirachi's Detour to copy Colress's Experiment. Jirachi's Detour for no energy copies the effect of the supporter card that you played this turn. So Colress's Experiment basically just happens a second time. Now we have 4 cards in the Lost Zone. Adventure Bag comes down, getting just a Cessation Crystal. That's very interesting. I have to wonder if there were several cards prized or several tools prized, or maybe they just had so many of them in their hand already that they didn't have any other targets. We are going to see a Marnie. Marnie getting both players new hands there. 4 cards for the Lost Link Box player, 5 for the Ultra Necrozma player. Ultra Necrozma not able to attack this turn no matter what, even if it finds energy. So not the end of the world if that does happen. Getting that teammates out of the deck very good for later on, because that Ultra Necrozma will most likely go down, or at least it would typically. The way the Lost Link Box works, so it's not going to take knockouts or any prize cards until it wants to win. So teammates may be actually less useful in this matchup than in usual. Primate Wisdom getting a Versus Seeker and a Colress's Experiment. Colress's Experiment being used once again to get some more cards in the Lost Zone. Trying to get to that useful 7 number in the Lost Zone to make use of Mirage Gate. Do see another energy attachment on the other Mew, just to diversify the energy attachments to make sure that there's nothing too juicy for gusting. 8 cards now already in the Lost Zone. That is very concerning for the Ultra Necrozma player, who still has yet to even set up. Gonna look for a Garboater to get the Garbotoxin out and going, and also a Special Energy. Really needs a Double Dragon Energy to get that attack going there. We see a discarding of that Rockets Admin that just pulled off a Trader's Mail. We do actually get Garbotoxin live. I would like to see a second Garbotoxin, but it does not look like it's going to happen, unfortunately. Just not in the cards this game, or at least not that turn. I'm going to use the attack on Mew there to send a card to the Lost Zone from the deck. You get another treasure there, playing down for the Trashalanche Garboater. Very interesting play. I would have really liked to have seen another Garbotoxin Garboater, but ultimately I don't think it's actually going to matter in this matchup. See that Ultra Necrozma down. Another attachment on that Lost Link Mew on the bench. Very, very concerning. That is just like an energy away basically from ending the game. Staraptor now in the Lost Zone. Very concerning. Staraptor is that last piece necessary to complete the puzzle for the checkmate here. Another Trubbish comes down. Mew retreating into Jirachi. That's very concerning. That makes me wonder if Cyrus Prism Star is going to come out. Not just yet. We do see the Colress's Experiment instead. Digging for 1 more card to hit the Lost Zone. Sableye going to the Lost Zone, and a Level Ball. Makes me wonder if there was a piece missing in the Lost Zone. I know I've seen Doggo GX, and I know for sure I've seen the Staraptor, so perhaps the Origin Form Dialga V-Star was there. Throwing a computer search in the Lost Zone is bold. There is a second Garbotoxin, so there is that. Jirachi goes down. There's Mirage Gate. I think that's going to be game. There is the Lost Vacuum, getting rid of Cessation Crystal, turning back on Mew's attack, or Mew's Poké Power. There's Cyrus Prism Star, and that's game. So real quick, while they're kind of pulling all their cards off, because they just scooped them the second they see Cyrus Prism Star. I mentioned it in the intro of this video when we're talking about the deck here, but basically the second that Cyrus Prism Star comes down, that's checkmate. It gets rid of all of the Pokemon that are extra on the bench, and with those extra Pokemon gone, all they have to do is just take a pair of knockouts and scoop away whatever remains in the active spot with Staraptor's attack, leaving them with no Pokemon, and that's the game. So because the players recognize that the game is over with that Cyrus Prism Star coming down, they went ahead and scooped things up and moved to game 2. And a Zelf start is less than ideal for Lost Link Box, but it is what it is. We've seen an Adventure Bag immediately on the Necrozma side, finding 2 Float Stones in the deck, attaching one of them to a Trubbish. Trainer's Mail, fishing for something, grabbing a Mysterious Treasure, probably going for a second Trubbish. Actually, no, going for an Ultra Necrozma. And then discarding the Iono for that, putting a Cessation Crystal on the Ultra Necrozma, trying to slow down the Lost Link Box's actions here. Computer search immediately searches for a for a Colress's Experiment. Colress's Experiment going to draw 5 cards off the top of the deck and then put 2 of them into the Lost Zone. We see a Raihan and a Psychic Energy, it looks like, going to the Lost Zone there. Interesting choices. A luxury ball comes down, finds the Jirachi from Rising Rivals. Unfortunately, they will have to retreat that Azelf, but Azelf is retreated, so they will be able to detour on that Jirachi for to look at 5 more cards, putting 2 more of them into the loss zone. Garbodor comes down. Garbodor, very good. Looks like we're getting an Iono off of a Versus Seeker here. Fresh 6 cards for both players. Double Dragon Energy coming down on the active, another Ultra Necrozma dropping, and that Ultra Necrozma is immediately taking a knockout on the Jirachi, but with Cessation Crystal, its Poke Power, Poke Body rather, whichever it is, I can't remember off the top of my head, is inactive, so it can't be used to search the deck for a card, which makes it much harder for Lost Link Box to try to set up. And since they don't have access to a means of discarding that Cessation Crystal, they're kind of stuck at the moment. The Professor Juniper coming down, finding 7 more cards for the Necrozma player. Gonna play in a Mysterious Treasure, discarding another Professor Juniper, getting the Trubbish down. Very good stuff. Teammates comes in. Teammates also super good in most matchups, but again, probably not this one. Another knockout here, taking out that Azelf, touching an energy to the Mew, putting a card in the loss zone, trying to get set up all the same. That Mew's still going down. Very rough for this Lost Link Box player. Another Colorless Experiment down on Versus Seeker. Very good to see that at least. The Lost Box is growing. Or Lost Zone rather is growing. We are at 7, so Mirage Gate is live. See an energy attachment on that Mew. Just need a Mirage Gate and another attachment or a Stadium card, but looks like they're not going to quite get there. Just going to have to move to the next turn for the Necrozma player here. Finding 2 more tools in the deck. This is not good at all for the Lost Link Box player. Mew once again going down, trying to punish the Lost Link Box side as much as possible, taking down the Mew, not letting it set up. This is a much better setup for Necrozma than the last game, and a significantly worse setup for Lost Link Box. Some cards going back into the deck, including Mew and a Psychic Energy, getting a Level Ball out, putting Sableye down a little early maybe, but we do have the Mirage Gate. Pretty confident. Looks like they can get to that 10th card in the loss zone. Nope, they don't have it. They're just gonna scoop. Gonna go to game 3. Very, very quick game 2. All right, let's look at this third game. Jirachi start pretty good. Trevor start, it's okay. Double Jirachi here. Also triple Jirachi. Very good, actually. The Mew and another Mew. Fairly good start for Lost Link Box here. Lots of Pokemon they want to see out early. That's very good to see. An energy attachment on the Mew, but just a pass. Nothing else. Nothing fancy. And this is the game where the camera gets repeatedly hit, including once rather dramatically. So apologizing again for that. We do see Trubbish and a Necrozma down. Very good stuff. Another Necrozma. A Double Dragon Energy come down. Would like to see a Cessation Crystal if at all possible, but I don't think that's going to happen. Actually, never mind. We might still see it. We see a Judge from the Ultra Necrozma player, finding 4 more cards, disrupting the Mew player's hand, finding an Adventure Bag, and there is a Cessation Crystal coming down after all. Gonna see a Trainer's Mail. It's like we find a Guzma off that Trainer's Mail. Very nice indeed. Gonna use that next turn for sure. Just a pass. Can't evolve this turn, so it's a pass for the Necrozma player. Lost Link gets another turn to survive, and it's just a pass. That Cessation Crystal ending them. And we start seeing once again a brutalization of that Mew from Triumphant. Cessation Crystal shutting off all of the outs it has and just gusting each Mew up as fast as it can be gusted. There's one Mew down. Let's see if the Lost Link Box player can respond. Nope, yet another pass. This is actually even worse off than the previous game. Another Guzma. No Mews left in play, just Jirachis. Another pass. Oh no. Oh no, it's just going to be game over. Another pass and another knockout. And another one. Are we going to see just a quick game? A super odd? No, we're going to see an actual action happen. 2 Jirachis and a Mew going back into the deck, trying to hold on for dear life here. A Level Ball finding another Jirachi. A Quick Ball getting 1 more out. Camera being disrupted in the middle of the finals here. And they're just another knockout. Once again, only one prize card left for Ultra Necrozma. And I think this is just unfortunately going to be game. Lost Link Box getting cut off early, unable to respond to the intense pressure of Cessation Crystal and quick and repetitive gusts from the Ultra Necrozma side. That's game 3, and that is the series with Ultra Necrozma coming out ahead of Lost Link Box, that Cyrus Checkmate version of the deck. What a series. Anyway, that is all for today's video. Lost Link Box did not happen to win the tournament, but it did still make a very impressive showing in that first game. Very devastating once that's set up. Thankfully, the Necrozma player was honestly not only able to play it very well, but also get incredibly lucky that Lost Link Box just didn't have quite the consistency to set itself up in those last 2 games. Not 100% win rate for Lost Link Box, but sometimes Cessation Crystal does the job, and sometimes you just dead draw. It happens. But again, that is it for today's games. I hope you enjoyed them, and if you like what you see, and maybe happen to find yourself in the San Antonio area on January 12th, you can join us at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch here in San Antonio, Texas for the next Eternal Format special event. Deck validation will begin at 11 a.m. and round 1 will begin at approximately noon. Anyway, that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.